You should have received a raffle ticket or have a raffle ticket. You have several door prizes. So make sure you hold on to your raffle tickets. And make sure you have your early voting guide. This is a quick guide to make sure that we all have a plan to vote, because the way that we are able to, the main way we want to be able to support our candidates that are here today is by showing up to the polls, making sure we bring our family and friends and people around us that we care about and encourage them to vote, and make sure that we're voting for the right people. And that is through having great voter education. So, my name is Hero. I'm here. I am the congressional candidate for District 4, which includes 18 different counties, including Collin County, Frisco County, and several other counties all through Northeast Texas. I am from Dallas, Texas. I was born and raised here. I went to school at Richardson High School, and I studied science at Prairie View University. So, as we go through, we're going to be introducing other candidates who are also running for office. They're going to tell you about themselves, why they are running, and if you have any questions that you would like to ask during the Q&A session, there is a QR code listed. Here, let me grab it. There are these QR codes here, so you can drop your question so that we can be able to ask all the questions that are there. So if you see the QR code around, make sure you scan it so you can ask your questions, and then we will answer them during the Q&A session. So, in Collin County, as you all know, you guys look at the first page, the early voting is going to start tomorrow, and it goes out to February 25th. The times are there. One thing you do want to make note on is that if you decide to vote on February 21st, that's going to be pretty hard because the polls will be closed. It is President's Day, so all the polls will be closed. So please make sure that you notate that the 21st is not going to be the polls will be closed for President's Day. Make sure you celebrate your favorite president. On March 1st, for our last minute warriors, if you do end up voting on March 1st, make sure that you make a plan. There could be lines because it is the last day of voting, but please make sure that you aim to vote early so you don't have to worry about it. As we introduce our candidates, if you click to the last page, you'll see your plan to vote. One thing that we all need to start doing and encouraging other people to do, and I know you guys do because you guys are amazing voters, you guys are American citizens that are holding on to your oath of voting on time, but make sure that you come up with a plan to vote. Figure out what date and time you're going to vote, who you want to vote for, and if you do need some guidance or want to be able to see who your candidates are, the League of Women Voters has created this nifty website called vote411.org, where you can be able to find your personalized ballot. You can also be able to see your candidate's information. There is a survey that they have answered, and you'll be able to access their website, phone numbers, email addresses, okay? So please make sure you go to your vote411.org if you want additional information. So we're going to get started. We have 3 levels of candidates here. We're going to start off with the federal candidate. I've already introduced myself. So I'm going to let Sandeep, he's running for Congressional District 3, and he's going to introduce himself. Come on up, Sandeep.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Sandeep Srivastava, and I'm running for U.S. Congress District 3, which covers from Collin County till Hunt County after gerrymandering. It's 70 miles. 70 miles. I have to travel a lot. But again, let him do anything. But if we are united, then me and you will still make this county blue. So, as you know, from tomorrow, early voting is starting. Please make sure you go out and vote, and let your friend, family also take along with you. Make sure keep on texting or calling them, and let them go out and vote. Because we have seen the voting power in Georgia in last election. When everybody went out and vote, they changed the whole dynamics of Georgia as well as for the Senate. So Same thing we can do in Collin County also. We have very great candidates over here, and everybody will serve and work for you guys. And so, but we need votes. We can do everything from our side, but we need help from you guys to come out and vote. So please make sure next 2 weeks are very, very important. Everybody should be campaigning for people to go out and vote. And whether they are in Denton County or in Collin County, we need all candidates to win. Whether on the county commissioner, Congress, school board, we need people everywhere nicely, good people. So thank you very much. You can visit my website, sandeepfortexas.com. And if you have any questions, please connect me directly. I will be happy to answer. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandy. So, for those who may not know, the U.S. House of Representatives, they do represent on the federal level, and the responsibilities of the Congress, along with other responsibilities that are found in the Constitution, is to be able to bring bills to the floor that are voted on that will impact citizens across the entire United States. So even though we are running for the state of Texas, once we are elected, we will be one of about 430 right now, voters that will make the difference between, what you see in funding for housing, funding for education, and those funds that come down to the state level. So a lot of the resources that we use on the state level come from the federal government. And we go to our state representatives. We do have 3 state representatives here today and our president. So we're going to start off with House District 61. So that is Ms. Sheena King. You will come to
Thank you, Ro, and thank you for manifesting that we are already in the house. So, my name is Sheena King. I am a candidate for State Representative, House District 61. I don't want to keep touching it, sorry. Okay, so Sheena King, candidate for State Representative, House District 61. So I am running not against anyone, I am running for, and I am running for each of you in this room. Whether or not you are in my district or not, which my district happens to be 7 different cities. I'm not going to name them all because sometimes I forget one. But 7 different cities. And the reason why I'm running for you is simply what Rose said. Even though I may represent one part of Texas, we are one Texas. We are stronger together, and the way that we make this work is the way that we want it to work. We have to fight for it. We can't take for granted that they're going to give anything to us. We can't take for granted that our rights, which are in the Constitution, including the Texas Constitution, will remain our rights. They're actively being taken away from us, each one of them. So, I am running as a candidate to help inspire that change that we want to see. I am running to ensure that every single person who needs to be represented is represented, that they can see themselves in those who are supposed to be their representatives. We are the change. It is going to take all of us collectively together working to change Texas. Right now, they're trying to keep us divided. That's their strategy, and it's been working, but we cannot afford to sit this one out. If you care about human rights, and that is encompassing of every single right that they're trying to take away. If you care about those human rights, then it is time for you to bring somebody with you, because I know everyone in this room, you're already engaged, you're already committed to this. But we need to ensure that those folks who are waiting on the sidelines, those folks who have checked out and given up hope, they need to be inspired. So we are that for them. So we need each and every one of you who care about human rights, voting rights, women's rights, health care, any rights, period. We need to stand up and help those folks get out to the polls and vote. So 2 weeks of early voting seems like a long time, but it will be gone like that. So we need to ensure that primary season is our wake-up call. The alarm has been sounded. We all need to answer that call, and that little thing that says break glass in case of emergency, that's what we are. So we all need to take that hammer, break the glass, and bring somebody with us. Sheena King for Texas.com.
Now, immediately southeast, southwest of Sheena's district is House District 67. And House District 67, we have Mr. Jesse Riggness that
66.
is running for
66.
Oh, 66. Oh, my bad. Sorry. So, 66. I said that I misquoted. 66. Jesse, come on up.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you all coming out today. So, as a candidate, a lot of people are asking me questions. A lot of people are probably asking y'all questions as well right now. But I want to start today asking y'all a question. So raise your hand if you have, or someone in your family has been affected by cancer. What about breast cancer? Seeing lots of hands up. Multiple sclerosis? Yeah. Dementia? There's a lot of diseases that affect everyone. We all have parents, we all have grandparents, and as we see a generation that's aging, and we see resources dwindling, and we see organizations trying to take away resources from people, we're gonna be the stop that makes sure that people get the resources that we need, and we need to make sure that healthcare is lowered from a procedure, from a prescription, or from an insurance standpoint. So I'm gonna keep it kind of short today. That's my main focus. I mean, I could go on about all different things. Once I get going, people usually tell me to stop ranting. So that's basically my main goal. I want to focus on healthcare and make sure that we are lowering costs for everyone, making sure that things are affordable, and social services that do work already, make sure that we are expanding those as well. So I please ask you to vote for me. Texas House District 66, Jesse Riggness. Thank you.
Now, a little bit more southern from Jesse's district is House District 70. The House District 70 has my girl, Mahala, come over.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming out, and I apologize for looking like this. I do dress up a lot better, clean up a lot better than this, so I apologize. But once again, my name is Mahala Lisa. I'm running for the new district in Collin County, House District 70, which is in the southern part of Collin County. It makes up parts of Dallas. Most of it is Plano. I have a little bit of Allen and one precinct of Richardson. A little bit about me. I grew up here in North Texas, went through Plano ISD schools, and started a small business here in North Texas. I've been an advocate, I've marched, and I've protested for my community. But in 2016, something happened, and I realized that the marching and the protesting that we had been doing, it wasn't enough. My family was suffering, my small business was suffering, and my community was suffering. So I quit my job, and I took my 2 political science degrees, and I went to Austin to find out why our government was not listening to us. And for the last 5 years, I've been a legislative director working at the Texas Capitol, passed over a dozen bills, working for Democratic members in a Republican majority House and Senate. And that's why I'm running for office. Because the people of House District 70 deserve not somebody who is elected to office, but is effective once we get down to Austin. Our legislative sessions in Texas are only 140 days every 2 years. That's not a lot of time to learn on the job, and that's not a lot of time to get it right the first time. A lot of bills take a lot of time and a lot of years to pass. I'm proud to say that I'm one of those staffers that gets the job done. I am known for passing legacy bills. That's what I want to do for House District 70. We deserve a functioning electric grid, right? We shouldn't have PTSD during winter. But let me tell you something. Our grid almost failed this summer too. What are we going to do when it's 110 degrees outside and we don't have AC? At least in the winter we can burn the furniture. What I'm saying is we're in trouble. We also need to expand transportation, especially for HD 70. We talk a lot about public school money not staying in public schools. What people aren't talking about is our public transportation dollars aren't staying in public transportation. That's why House District 70 has 3 toll roads around us. In Bexar County, where I work, we don't have any toll roads. Why is that? It's because Collin County hasn't had a Democrat representing them in the House. When I'm elected, I will be the first Democrat to represent Collin County in modern history on the Texas House floor. That representative needs to be ready to go on day one. I'm that person. My name is Nahela Plisa, and I'm ready to meet you at the polls and earn your vote. If you didn't know, early voting starts tomorrow. Show me some love!
Thank you, Mahela. Yes, so early voting does start tomorrow on Valentine's Day. It goes until February 25th. Remember, the polls are closed on February 21st from President's Day. So the next candidate we have goes to our state's Board of Education. Now, the State Board of Education is a very important role, especially as we talk about the future of our children and the future of those who are trying to find career opportunities here in Texas. So I want to introduce Alex Cornwallis. Woo!
Thank you everyone for coming. I know today's Super Bowl. This is as interesting as Super Bowl as well. Well, I'm Alex Cornwallis, running for the State Board of Education, District 12. Now, what does the State Board of Education do? Well, just think about it. The State Board of Education sits on top of all these school boards. So that means that if you have any changes, if you have any influence at that level, that affects everyone, all the school districts. That's how crucial this position is. Now, I'm running so that I will bring equity of education. The reason behind that is, this is the education of children we're talking about. Just because you're born at a certain district or to a certain parent doesn't mean that you have to suffer. Doesn't mean that you have to go to a district that doesn't have enough funding from there. That's what I will do. When there's an equity in there, I'll make sure all districts, all children of all districts receive the education they deserve. That is my number one goal. Second goal is to fix our curriculum. Two ways. To modernize it first. Now, when you graduate from high school, children don't have enough knowledge to know which major to go into. That's because the curriculum has not been updated since 1958. That's how bad it is. Now, the other part of curriculum is protecting our historical curriculum. Next year, the social studies is on the block. That curriculum is on the block for review. And guess what? In the state board, the Republicans have a 9-6 majority. Do you think we can trust them to protect our history? Definitely not. We've seen a lot of examples of them mutilating our history, falsifying our history, omissions in our history. That's what we say. And lastly, I want to make sure we protect our teachers. Not only through their salary, but as well as physically protecting them. Nowadays, they're afraid to teach. There are incidents in the state where teachers are assaulted because of their points of view. I've never heard that. Our children spend almost all their day time with their teachers. They deserve respect. We've got to make sure we support them. All parents can we support them. Again, thank you very much. I'm Alex Cornwallis, running for the State Board of Education, District 12. I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Masat Parveen. I'm a former candidate for the Plano City Council race of May 2021. And I would like to go ahead and introduce a very close friend of mine, my former running mate for Place 7, David Smith, who is running for a very important role, and this is the Collin County Judge. This is a role where he's going to make decisions on transportation, healthcare, which is big in the news, and he has been a huge advocate for all of these causes since the 90s. And even when he was no longer in office, he continued advocating. So go ahead and come on up, David.
Thank you for the introduction, Masad. And let me give a shout out to Roe and Kelly. And this event started out as just 6 of us candidates getting together and have some sort of gathering, and it got expanded to what this is now. They put in a lot of work on that. And yes. And let me give a shout out to the other candidates that are here. This cycle, we've had the best cooperation, comradeship, whatever you want to call it, among the candidates that I've seen in many other election cycles. We're helping each other now. We'll be helping each other more as we approach November, and that will be part of our success. Together, we've got lots of synergy. It's already proving out, and I want to give a mention to that. Anybody asks you, what might be different about the cycle, it's this particular group of candidates that's coalesced together. I'm David Smith, candidate for Collin County Judge. We do have an incumbent county judge that absolutely must be replaced, and I'm the guy who can replace him. I am the best qualified to become the Democratic nominee for this position. I have the local government experience as well as a large organization management experience that can come to bear. As Masat mentioned, I served on the city council here in Plano for 3 terms. Also did lobbying work in Austin during 8 legislative sessions. Also been an election administrator for 6 different cycles. Served on a variety of city and county committees. I really know local government inside out. Will not be a learning curve there in stepping in. Most of my large organization management experience outside government was with EDS as a middle manager. And one important part of that is I participated quite a bit in establishing a real good corporate culture, doing culture change as we acquired other corporations, so forth. That's going to be task number 1, starting in January 2023, is casting aside this toxic environment that we currently have in the county. By the way, we're having a 42% personnel turnover. And that is just catastrophic for any organization. So we need to turn that around. There are a lot of good people in county government, including a lot of the elected officials that will be carrying over. And it can be done, but you need somebody with the experience of getting that done, with the connections with the facilitators that work with government, nonprofit sectors, corporations. And beyond changing the culture, also day 1, we'll actually start work on county issues. We've had an incumbent who's more concerned about national politics. I will not be engaging in national politics. I'll be working on public health, transportation, the justice system. Public health, I will probably still be addressing the pandemic thing. We'll actually take it seriously and see if we can get away from these waves of illnesses and deaths, which are really unacceptable. We'll also address the mental health crisis, and we'll work on building a public health department of the caliber that we need for a county with more than 1 million population now. Transportation area, we need to complete the thoroughfare grid. We need to extend public transit to the entire county. The other things we need to be pursuing, maybe another airport. Now, the justice system. Just a couple of days ago, we had another death in custody know the details of that yet, but 2 earlier deaths were associated with people who should not have been in jail in the first place. And by the way, that some of that ties to our mental health crisis. Mentally ill do not need to be going into our jail, they need to be going into treatment programs, otherwise diverted. So that would be a major concentration. And on that note,
Vote for me.
I'll just close by asking for everybody's help in turning people out to vote. Democratic primary is forecast to be very low turnout, maybe 5% of voters. We're going to have good nominees going forward. We need a lot of good people voting, a lot of the people who are in your circles. So if you do nothing else, contact everybody in your circles, spread the word. We've got some good candidates here who need your votes starting tomorrow. And if you'd like to do some poll reading or other things, those opportunities are available. We're happy to plug you in. I've got plenty of literature here, contact information, so forth. Just talk to me if you're not already plugged in. Let me know, or let one of the other candidates know. We're working together and coordinating, which is great. Thank you so much for coming out and your time this evening.
Thank you, David, for that, and for also addressing the mental health crisis, because that's also a serious issue right now. So along with, being a Collin County judge, it's also important that we work together with other counties. That's how we create a strong state, one that will, unify and make sure that all people are addressed. And so, with that being said, I would like to introduce Mr. Fabian Thomas for Denton County Judge.
Hi everyone, I'm Fabian Thomas. But I must say, you did a great description of what the county judge does. I can top that, but that's very well explained. That said, my name is Fabian Thomas and I'm running for Denton County Judge. I have a broad base. Why am I doing this? Right? I'm doing it because I think there are things that I can do in the community that will help improve the life of the citizens of Denton County. I have a broad based background in the military for some 20 years, where I learned basic things like honesty, integrity, and service to the community before self. I'm an MBA graduate from University of Washington, D.C., State University, in the field of finances, and I have quite a few licenses in real estate, in accounting, and mortgages. So it gives me a broad base knowledge of different things that needs to be done in the county. Also, I've lived in Denton County for 26 years, so I've seen changes. Highway 141 was a one-way highway going up and down, going to toll road, and the county has grown in leaps and bounds. We almost have 1 million people now, 900,000. And one of the things is the demographics is changing. Ahora muchas las personas hablan español. So, being that I'm from a foreign country, from Panama, I grew up in Panama and speak Spanish very fluently, I tend to reach out to these types of communities and have them vote for us also. What I want to do primarily is as we begin to grow in the county, is expand the roads and highways to grow in a timely fashion as communities are growing. We're getting a lot of imports from Chicago, California that are coming in here. And if we have our roads congested, it's going to look like Washington, D.C. when I lived there, when I used to work for the CIA. So we don't want that. We like our roads to be clear and clean like we have them now. We want to be progressive in developing highways as the communities coming in. That's one of the things I intend to do. The other thing I want to do is education. Early childhood education, I think, is very important for our kids. sending kids that those who can afford it, put the kids in Montessori's at an early age, and those who can't, put them in play school and then by the time they get to sixth grade, some kids can be in sixth grade. I like to double that playing field so that everyone has the same opportunity and starting in early ground. Keep them in the kid at an early age. You don't have to deal them in the court system. The last thing I'm trying to do is we don't have a county hospital in Denton County yet. The pandemic came and left, still here, yes, and we still have to address those issues and try to get them resolved. I think that if we can have a county hospital there right now, we currently have to go down to the Dallas County for medical treatment. A hospital in Gardella County will definitely help the residents of the county have a place to go when these illnesses and those kind of illnesses. And last but not least, I have been here for 26 years, like I said earlier. I plan to stay here for another 26 until I die. Yes. I'm good at working in the community. I was working on my board, the HOA board. I'm good at fostering relationships and building relationships. And in the military, we work with everyone from all different walks of life. And we have utmost respect for everyone throughout the process. And in my own business now, I realize that it's important to work together with everyone to see that we should synergy. The alarm hasn't gone off yet, so I guess I keep talking. No, but anyway, I just want to thanks for coming out. I hope you guys vote for us, vote for me, and early voting starts next week, so the earlier you vote, the next way it is in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bacon, for that. And what I loved about him and both David is that though they're both running for debt and Collin, they both are addressing the criminal justice reform issue that we have going on. Many of y'all may or may not know, but our mass incarceration rates here in Texas is way too high, so it's important we completely change the leadership. And so the county judge often plays a role as mayor for the county, but along he also has commissioners that work as like the city council positions. And so it's important that we have a strong county court with commissioners and judge that work together on these issues dealing with human rights, health care, transportation. And so with that being said, I would like to introduce Mr. Jeff Williams on the stage, who's running for County Commissioner, Precinct 4. And his position is very important because his opponent has been very toxic here in Collin County and has recently got indicted by the grand jury. So without further ado, Mr. Jeff Williams, please come to the stage.
Shots fired, shots fired. I had to do it. I'm Jeff Williams. I'm running for Collin County Commissioner in Precinct 4. And I just wanted to mention a couple of things today, because as Roe could tell you, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with time. So I definitely don't want to spill over. But one of the consistent themes that you heard this afternoon is healthcare. And when I first got into the race, that was one of the issues that I wanted to start out with. And because all of us have a personal story when it comes to healthcare, myself included. If you haven't seen the video on my campaign Facebook page, I talked about, I actually went out to the heart hospital at Baylor Plano, and I stood out there, and it was the 10th anniversary of my open heart surgery in 2012. So far the new parts have been working, and I'm in good health. But I did that because I wanted to remind people that in Collin County, healthcare is basically privatized. People mentioned earlier that there's no county hospital here. So one of the things I did at the beginning of the campaign was I reached out through an intermediary to the CEO of Parkland. Now I'm not name dropping here. He happens to be an old friend of the family. In New Orleans, this happens a lot. Everywhere we go, we meet people that we know. So he granted me an audience yesterday, and one of the things that he told me, and I asked him initially because I knew that he had a personal stake in my race and David's race because of the way the county budget works. So immediately when I got in his office, he handed me a paper and it told me that Parkland was on the hook for $10.5 million over a 12-month period during the pandemic from Collin County resident patients. And I think, and just to kind of back up, one of the things we need to think about when we talk about healthcare is there's a difference, a distinction between charges and cost. And that's one of the things that he really emphasized with me. So it costs about $10.5 million for Parkland to treat Collin County residents over that 12-month period. And maybe $500,000 of that was actually paid back to them. And he told me he's not exactly encouraged by the fact that he's been trying to shop around a plan to get the other counties that have been sending patients his way to share in the cost. And as David alluded to, this is a highly partisan, toxic commissioner's court that we have in Collin County. And it really sucks. I've been to the meetings, I've seen how they behave, and the really hard part is the other commissioners don't do anything to check one another. There's not an honest broker on that court. So, I don't know about you, I think there's some time for some loyal opposition finally. We want to have two parties?
Yes.
Can I get an amen?
Yes.
Now, the other thing I want to mention is I'm very enthusiastic about the future of the party, particularly here in Collin County, because I believe if eventually we can flip Collin blue, we can flip Texas blue, and then it's game over. The Republicans will be in crisis mode, although you could argue they are already. And I'm sure my friend Nick will come up here and talk later. One of the things as a businessman that I've noticed during COVID is that we've had a value shift in terms of how we price our time. You see that with people holding out for better wages, better benefits, and probably the most important question that's been asked of me as I knock on doors, a potential voter, or now a Jeff Williams voter, asked me, Jeff, how else can I help? What else can I do for the party? I said, the best thing you can do is donate. Because of that sea change that we've seen in our values when it comes to our work, we're going to have to hire people to knock on doors from now on. We're going to need to raise money to pay kids to go out and do that. God bless the ones who are fired up to do it and volunteer their time. We still love them, but we have to face the reality that eventually we're going to have to come up with the money to get a full-scale operation to help get us elected. So, if anybody asks you, what is the best thing we can do for this party right now? Is to fundraise, is to donate. So, you guys agree?
Yes.
All right, I got a few controversy. Thanks again. I want to just, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all of the candidates who are running, because I don't begrudge anybody who has the courage to put their name on a ballot, and they should be congratulated. So, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jeff Williams, for that. And what I like about Jeff and David and David, what they were talking about is like how important it is that each people running in these positions work together. Because let's face it, all of these issues we're facing right now in Collin County, Texas, Denton County, it's all systematic. So it's important we completely change the system and put leaders who have the heart of service for that position. And so, along with the Collin County Commissioner precinct, we also have people that are running in Denton County for the Commissioner precinct too. And so right now, I would like to go ahead and introduce to the stage Ms. Diana Wiesel, who's running for Denton County Commissioner precinct 2.
I just told Jeff he just took my speech. What can I say? I'm Diana Wiesel, and I am running for Denton County Commissioner Precinct 2. And why I am running? I am running to improve health care, expand services for families, and also, of course, the transportation. As an attorney, I have practiced family law for almost 15 years now. On a daily basis, I advocate for women, children, and families. This week, I'm getting ready to do my 101st adoption. And I do that pro bono. So I'm a big advocate for families. Also, I am a prior healthcare executive. I used to be over 2,500 nonprofit hospitals. So I was over like Baylor, Cedars-Sinai, Mayo Clinic, New York Presby, Memorial Hermann. I was responsible for all the evaluation, budgeting, contracts, sales, marketing, customer service. So I know all about healthcare. I also know about mental health. I know what services that need to be done, and they need to be brought to Denton County. Because right now we don't have a Denton County Hospital right now. And since I know everything about healthcare, I'm an executive that prior to that, plus being an attorney, I am a perfect candidate as a commissioner of Denton County. Right now, there are 4 commissioners of Denton County, and they're all held by Republicans. And this is an open bench this year. The commissioner is retiring, he's not seeking re-election. So we're just hoping to try to get a Denton County, Democrat in Denton County for precinct 2. So another thing is I have an executive MBA from TCU as well. I used to be a law professor and a business professor. And my another big love is I'm an animal advocate. I represent rescues all over the state of Texas pro bono. So I have a lot of services that I provide free to families and to animals. And I always say, anyone that meets me, I am a voice for the voiceless. And I stand by that 100%.
Woo!
Thank you. And I just want to let you know, I had a Shih Tzu that just passed away yesterday evening. He was my 15-year-old Shih Tzu, and he had a stroke, and I found he passed away last night. And he was the one that I adopted from the Arlington Animal Shelter, probably about 10 years ago. Nobody wanted him, but I wanted him.
Oh.
So anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate you being inviting me here, and I'm excited to run for Denton County Commissioner in Precinct 2. And let's get out the vote and let's elect Democrats.
Woo!
Thank you so much, Ms. Diana, for that heartwarming speech. It's truly inspiring to see all the work you've done, from a place of service and all the advocacies. These are the type of leaders we need, one that truly has it within their heart. And so it's also important we elect good candidates that are also running for the justice of peace positions, because these people are the ones who are going to be advocating, making sure that our human rights are not violated. And currently, the state has been that so many people have felt their own individual human rights have been violated among the COVID and mental health crisis. And so without further ado, I would like to welcome Mr. Urban L. Barrett to the stage, running for Collin County Justice of Peace 3.
So first off, I'm not Reverend Barrett. Just in case anybody was wondering, I'm definitely not a Reverend. I hope one day, but not right now. So Reverend Barrett, he's actually right now driving back from Beaumont, so he is a Reverend. He's just finished his sermon for today, so he has about a 6-hour drive. Me personally, I'm his campaign manager. My name is Dave Lewis. Reverend Barrett is running for Justice Peace Place 3, so that stretches all the way from here, right here in Plano, all the way up to Allen and parts of Princeton. So a pretty big area, but includes the majority of Plano, Richardson, Dallas. So it's a wide area that he's prepared for. So Reverend Barrett has been here for about the past 4 years. He lives out in Allen currently. He's been a pastor for 30. He took over the Starlight Church out in Beaumont, Texas in 2008. He meets every week, up and down. So that's why he's not here. But he loves his passion. He's an insurance agent for 20 years. The reason why he's running for Justice Peace, right? Just he's focused on 3 critical things that is pertinent to his campaign. First off is the accessibility. So as Justice Peace, they focus on truancy, they focus on small claims, they focus on misdemeanors, and civil claims under $20,000. So for Irvin, one of the things he realizes is that if you're working a 9-to-5 job, the court is open from 9 to 5, it doesn't really give you a lot of time to actually handle your court business, right? His goal is to have weekend courts and evening courts, because it's fair that every person here that's working deserves a chance to have their day in court and not to sacrifice time at work in order to make their court date. Because I don't know about you, but the stimulus check of $1,400, that was a pretty good thing, but for these rents, there's $1,500 deposits. You can't access that because somebody, let's say a landlord, didn't give it back to you, you want to bring them to court, and you can't do that because you're not there. That's unfair. So he's looking to make sure that courts are more accessible. Truancy is another big topic. In Plano and all these ICs in this area, truancy is an issue, right? The Justice of Peace handles truancy. Currently, the juvenile system cells where they actually push you more towards putting you into the system rather than finding ways to keep you out of the system. As a reverend, as a person that's worked for CASA, has worked for clergy and kids, as a minister and a community person, he is committed to making sure to find prevention programs, working with ISDs, superintendents, principals, teachers, making sure that they are not only keeping out, but finding ways to prevent things. And then lastly, we have environment. So environment means two things. So it means not only keeping our environment, even our neighbors, maybe if they're pests or not, we still love them, right? We love our house, we love our property. But for tenants, they have rights. For landlords, they have rights. Understanding the environment, if you have an issue as a tenant, have an issue as a landlord, you have the Justice of the Peace Court. That's where you go to get those things settled. Oftentimes, you don't have a lawyer. Justice of the Peace Court is one of those areas where you don't have a lawyer, you represent yourself. We need to make sure that people understand that, have the proper tools to know how to file. If they can't pay that fine, how can they get that done? And then once they're there, making sure this person that respects them, understands the issues, and able to decide, and at the end of the day, whether you win or lose, it is respectful of you, and that you feel like they heard you. At the end of the day, Reverend Barrett, these are his main 3 priorities, and he's going to get it done. So he doesn't have a primary challenger, so during this early voting, he's pushing for every candidate in this room to go out and make sure they vote for him. By November, he is hoping that you come out not only for him, but for every other candidate in this room. So please remember Reverend Irvin Barrett. You can reach him at irvinbarrett.com. You can reach him at irvinbarrett.com. We look forward to hearing from you. We look forward to going out to the community, and thank you for your time. Everybody have a great day. Go ahead.
That was really good. Thank you so much, Gabriel, for managing Reverend Barrett and speaking well of him. And so, yeah, it's very important that we elect people in justice of peace positions who truly advocate for the youth, because truancy has been a huge detrimental problem. We have young kids that we don't know what's going on in their lives. Maybe their parents are working too much and so they can't go to school on time. But the last place they need to be is part of the criminal justice system. It's important we find actual solutions. And so we also have another candidate who's also running for Justice of Peace too, and she is also going to be part of the cause for these solutions. Her name is Gardella, and I would like to welcome her to the stage.
So now that he just took 30 seconds off my speech, I'm Stephanie Gardella. I am running for Justice of the Peace for Denton County's District Precinct 2. That includes Little Elm, the Colony, and West Frisco, everything west of the Dallas North Tollway. Now, we already went over what a Justice of the Peace does, but did any of you know that a Justice of the Peace actually doesn't have to follow legal precedent? A Justice of the Peace is the king of their own court for the most part, so they can make decisions however they choose, whenever they choose, without following higher court's recommendations. That alone should make you all stand up and pay attention to who's sitting on these benches. We have a constitutional right to make sure that when we step into a courtroom, we are being treated by the court in a fair and impartial manner. Unfortunately, that's not what's happening in our current JP2 position. We have over and over, I've heard stories about people being denied equal protection under the law, and I have heard stories of people being denied even the basic human dignities. And so I am running to bring integrity back to this court. I don't know that it's ever worked for our community at any point. When I have, sorry, I'm all nervous. I'm trying to, when I get elected, not if, because you guys are all going to do this for me, we're going to donate big bucks and we're going to get this guy out. But when I am elected, my courtroom will actually be run with the Constitution as the highest authority. There's not going to be any partisan politics in there, and there's not going to be any religious ideology, because Lady Justice is blind. There is no place for that ridiculousness in a court. So you can ensure that when you put me on that bench, that I am going to champion civil rights and social justice and put all the other junk behind. The fact that any court is a partisan court should shock anybody, because again, the law isn't partisan, right? So look, whatever you can do, you guys, vote, donate, volunteer, especially vote, because it matters. I could absolutely use some volunteers, so if anybody wants to step up and give me a hand, that would be wonderful. My name is Stephanie Gardella. You can find me at electsteph.com. I also have some cards up there that will direct you all to my social media. Thanks so much for having me today.
Woo!
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for that empowering speech and for all of these candidates for even having the courage to run. I know firsthand that it's definitely not easy, but the reason why all of these wonderful candidates are running is because they've seen that how much injustice has been going on because too many people in these positions are choosing partisanship over people. So it's important we put leaders who bring the voice back to the people. And so along with these county positions, it's important we also make sure we have leaders that are part of the education system looking after the youth, because the youth is our future. They are the ones who are going to be directly affected by all the laws that are passed. And so it's also important that we empower our youth to also take up these leadership positions one day. And so I would like to go ahead and welcome Ms. Kelly Karthik to the stage and also give her a shout out for helping organize this event. So thank you so much, and please come over.
I want to give a shout out to Ro. You did a really good job. Thank you. I love the brochures. And this is her space, so she's so kind to let us utilize it. Isn't it a great space? I love this space. Anyway, I printed my thing today because I am taking donations because I need to do road signs and they are not cheap. Any candidate knows road signs are probably one of the biggest expenses. So if you guys can help me out today, here's the code. All right. Today I'm with my husband and my twin boys back there in the corner, obsessed with gaming. They're 16 years old and they are in the Frisco ISD school system. So maybe some of you when we see me for the first time today, you're like, who is Kelly? Why is she running? What has she got going on? So I'm just going to share a little bit of my background because I think ultimately we learn who people are by their past. So I wanted to tell you that my first job was babysitting at age 10. So that proves I like kids, right? Right, I'm in the right place. And my second job was crazy. I had my own television show where I gave kids, kids wrote letters and I gave them advice on television for what to do at 10, 11, 12 years old. I know that's crazy, but I had my own show. But probably the most important job of all was my third job, and that was between 8th grade and high school. I'm from the Chicago area. I lived in the Midwest. There's farms everywhere. I'm from the land of corn and beans, and I detasseled corn. That's what I did to earn money to buy clothes for high school. And let me tell you something, that's hard work. I would say baling hay and detasseling corn is about the hardest thing you can do. And I think I was calculated I detasseled maybe 70,000 tassels a day. It's one every second in both hands. For 8-9 hours a day. I was the only girl that survived, and in a lot of cases I beat most of the guys too. So I know what hard work is. And so I'm telling you these kind of things because yes, I like kids, and yes, I'm an effective communicator. I started that at a very early age. And my work ethic is old school. It's hard to argue with. I will do whatever it takes, and I will work like a dog to get whatever goal I have on my palette achieved. I come from a family of law enforcement, huge law enforcement family. I've got sergeants and master sergeants and captains and state detectives, and we have decorated war veterans, and additionally, we've got a lot of people that are active now. My grandfather was a polygrapher, and my goal in college when I was taking criminal justice administration was to become a detective like my father, or maybe a federal agent or a judge. But then the internet came along. You guys remember that? In the 90s, late 80s, or 90s? So what does that part tell you about me as a candidate? I can tell you that I'm obviously concerned about justice, and fairness, and truth for all people, but mostly our children, because they're the ones that need the advocate the most, right? So I worked at a startup computer consulting company in the 90s, and my job was getting schools to understand that they needed computer labs. That was a brand new concept. They're like, what? We need what? And the startup company I worked with was an A to Z type of company where we were literally building the computers from scratch. We were wiring buildings, we were training people, teachers, kids, and we also did the training, troubleshooting when they had issues. So beyond that, I worked at a research institute at the University of Illinois. It was the premier research institute, the gem of the University of Illinois. Back then, I was this is during the same time, if you guys remember, Mark Andreessen was doing his creation of Mosaic. Do you guys remember that? And it turned into Netscape. This is back when, that was actually the very first browser that had both text and images. So I was there at that time when all of this was going on. That's something I'm really proud of. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you about me as a candidate? It tells you that I understand the value of technology and the absolute dominance it has in the world right now. And our children must be prepared, and they have to embrace and excel in this area. They're not going to succeed in whatever they choose unless they have this technology foundation. I want to help the children be the best they can be in any field they're pursuing college. And lastly, my husband and I have our own technology solutions company. I'm the president and the chief people and growth officer. And basically what that means is I'm a culture coach. So in the tech sector, so when people come here, it takes a few years to adjust, right? To how we do things here and how does HR work and how do we interact and how there's a learning curve. And what I do is I help speed that up. I help people achieve that kind of knowledge in just a few months instead of a few years, and so they can concentrate more on their careers. There's a lot of norms in the American society that you just can't understand unless someone's helping you or you're willing to spend a lot of time doing that. So what does that tell you about me? It means I have a deep understanding of the cultural misunderstandings and divides that come along in life, in school, and careers. And I tell people all the time, diversity is not just about our skin color and the religions. I always think about a room full of people the same exact color. Pick orange. You got a bunch of orange people in a room, and they're still going to argue among themselves, and they're still going to have different ideas, and they're still going to have diversity. So diversity is not just about skin color or religion. It's actually about thought. Diversity is about your thinking. What kind of thinking do you bring to the table? And so, when we're dealing with students and teachers and staff and admin, there's going to be diversity, and I really feel like I can be that bridge between different cultures and help bring people together. Anyway, I have a lot of ideas going on in my head, and probably the top 4 or 5 ideas I have to bring on board Frisco ISD is to implement a bookmobile program. I want to help support our teachers in a more meaningful way that they need and want. I want to get the technology going in the schools a lot sooner. Right now, we're not really doing the technology thing until junior high. Well, you guys all know when your kids start school, they already know how to use the internet and play games and get on the phone. They know everything. Why are we waiting till junior high to jump on that technology train? Right now, the required graduation credit is 1 technology credit. 1 technology credit at high school level to graduate. That should be something we require every year. And to wrap up here, I just wanted to say that I also feel like we could partner up. We've got a lot of corporations here we need to be partnering up with and providing some better, what do you call that? That's junior year. What's that? Yeah, the vocational, besides the vocational training, the junior year of high school kids do their internships. There's some really amazing programs we could put together if we partnered with the right companies, and kids could better choose what they're going to go to college and study. But unless we provide them a little peek into some of these companies and what they offer and what they do, they kind of go into college blind, and we could give them a little taste of what they need to see before they head off and make major decisions. Anyway, my name is Kelly Karthik. My election is a little different than everybody else's here. Mine is May 7th. So if you can find me on Kelly, the number 4, Kelly4Frisco.com. I have tons of information. I brought my pamphlets here today. And you know what, you guys, if you can't vote, you can always donate, because let's face it, these campaigns are expensive. So I appreciate you listening to me. Take care, and God bless all the candidates here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for that. That was wonderful, and I love the technology innovation idea you have. Technology truly is the future, especially with all the machine learning we have. So it's important that you get a head start. And so in order to make sure that we have great people running and making sure that our party stays strong, it's important we have an important Collin County Democratic cheerleader. When we don't have the right person in that position, a lot of toxicity is caused, and a lot of good people are almost felt like they shouldn't run. I personally dealt with this during my last run, where it almost felt like I wasn't included within my own party, but that had a lot to do with not having a good enough county chair position. And so with that being said, I would like to introduce Mr. Frederick Nickens, who's running for Collin
Hey, Frederick Nick Nickens, that's who I am. And I'm running to be your next Collin County Democratic Chair. Why? Because of everything the SOT just said, because of everything that Gabe said for Reverend Barry, everything that everyone else here said tonight. Because there's a reason why the chair is at the bottom of the ballot. So you gotta scroll all the way to the bottom. I'm place 3. The only thing underneath me is white paper. I'm the last person on the ballot. Why? Because they want you to think it doesn't matter. That position is so important. And I'm gonna say this right now to everybody who's run to the side and everybody who's run in the past and didn't think the party did enough for you, I apologize, but help is on the way. If you vote me in, help is on the way. I promise that. I'm a retired military man. I'm a school teacher. My word is my bond. Today, I was out knocking on over 100 doors, me and my wife, before I came here. Because you got to be out there. The chair has to be out there in the streets. The chair can't be on Zoom. The chair has to be accessible. The roots of a tree are at the bottom. That's why the chair's position is at the bottom. Because without a strong base of the roots, the tree will fall. And that's what we've been doing in Collin County for all this time. Everybody that's been running has been falling because the roots are weak. That's something to think about. We need a strong base at the bottom. We need a candidate development program. I was just talking with a lot of the candidates here. We're throwing you out into the wolves and hoping you survive. Well, you're gonna get slaughtered if you don't have the training to assist you to win. We got to fundraise. Somebody was talking about fundraising, right? But think about it. When a candidate loses, we lose more than just that candidate. We lose the donor and the volunteer. Nobody wants to hang with a losing team. And you get frustrated. And then we got to grow the party. Someone talked about the youth. Since I started running, I had 25 students come up to me and register to vote. Just register. Just want to do it, right? And Shannon, thank you, babe. I know you're a warrior in the registrar business. No, she is. No, trust me, she's been carrying that load. But that's one aspect of voting. Voter registration, this county gets an A+. Voter education, we get a D. Voter turnout, D. Why? Because we don't educate. We don't go to people where they are. We don't tell them why voting is important. We tell them little ads and little slogans and expect them to get energized. They're gonna energize anybody. I knocked on a guy's door today. And he said, I'm gonna vote for you just because you're the only candidate that ever knocked on my door. That's simple. He said, you care. You're out here on a Sunday, right before the Super Bowl, in the hot sun, walking around with your wife and knocking on doors. That means you care. The little things matter. In the military, and you'll notice. When we say when we do the little things right, the big things become easy. If we can't get the little things right, we can't accomplish the big things. Healthcare, we can't do that. Women's reproductive rights, we can't do that. If we can't get people to come out and vote, how we expect to do the complex things? We can't. We have been set up to lose all along. Why? Because the roots are weak. That's why. It's that simple. Change the roots, and the tree gets stronger. I got a strong back. I got strong arms. I go to the gym. I'm a military man for 23 years. I am strong in my heart. I'm strong in my mind, which means I am strong for you. And we will be stronger together as a family. So I need y'all to go out and vote. Vote like your life depends on it, because it does. We are at war with an ideology that doesn't like democracy. Fight like your life depends on it. Vote like your life depends on it, because it does. I was shocked. I didn't know Denton County didn't have a county hospital either. Think about that. Two counties touching each other, don't have a county hospital. That's ridiculous. This is America. We've been in places where that's okay, where we go, okay, well, yeah, they don't have a county, okay, well, they ain't got running water either. But this is America. There should be a county hospital everywhere. There should be clean water everywhere. There should be internet for everybody. I live in Melissa, and the last one, I'm gonna tell you this last funny thing. I called AT&T up. And I said, hey, my internet is slow. The guy laughed at me. He said, man, ain't nothing I can do for you. He said, you're not wired for the highest speed jet out there. I've been there 8 years. And we still don't have the internet for people that work at home. Their lives depend on them working at home, using a device, and we have not supplied them with what they need to earn a wage? This is America. This is America that you and I fought for. So please vote like your life depends on it, and go all the way down to the end of the ballot and vote for Frederick Nickens if you want the roots to be strong. Thank you. God bless you.
Yes, thank you all for coming today. So Frederick is the last person, our last candidate, and I appreciate everybody taking the time to listen, to hear, and to be able to, learn about the different positions that are here. So on the last page, or second to last page, you'll see your plan to vote. We're going to take a couple of minutes. I want you to turn to the person next to you. I don't want you guys to ask each other a question, because we're going to make a plan right now to be able to actually vote. So turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, when are you going to vote? One day, remember, if you don't got the day,
Kendra, will you vote for me?
Yes, I'm voting tomorrow.
Now, what time are you going to vote? That's also important. What time do you have between 8 and 5 o'clock p.m. this week to be able to actually go out and vote? So that you guys can make sure that you have a plan, you make sure you grab lunch on the way over there, and make sure you have your time to vote. Now, ultimately, we want you all to vote for us, but the decision is yours. And we have a list of all the different candidates, all the different positions that you may or may not see on your ballot. So, take a minute. If you want to be able to discuss with your partner or somebody who's sitting next to you, we're going to give everybody 2 minutes to talk about who they plan on voting and why they want to vote for that person. And if you want, you can jot down some notes. If there's some candidates that were not here, for instance, we didn't have any of our Texas governors, they're on the road right now. Some of our attorney generals, same thing, they're also on the road for on going to different places. So talk about those positions as well, and we're going to give 2 minutes. When the 2 minutes is up, we're going to start with our raffles, and we'll close our out.
Is there a form or piece of paper where everybody knows where to early vote tomorrow?
Oh, so everything, we have it online, so if you go to your county's office, all the voting locations are online. We definitely wanted to put a QR code, QR code. But we do have the ID requirements, so if you have, or if anybody around you is wondering what do they need to bring with them to be able to vote, you want to make sure that you have one of the 7 valid IDs. Now, these are the type of IDs that are acceptable. You can have your Texas driver's license. If it's expired, it's okay as long as it's not over 4 years. That has been expired. If you're over the age of 70, it doesn't matter how long it's been expired. Just bring it with you. You can use your Texas handgun license. So if you have a handgun license, you can use that to vote. You can use your Texas election ID certificate, which is the blue card that you received in the mail. You should have received one within the last week or so. If you have your U.S. Naturalization certificate showing that you're a U.S. citizen, you can use that. It usually has a photo on it. You can use your Texas ID card. Or if you have a U.S. military thank you for your service, you can use that identification as well. And of course, your passport. Now, if for some reason you don't have any of those identifying documents, there are exceptions that are available if you look at the bottom. Just in case you bump into somebody who is wondering what those exceptions are, they do have to use reasonable tactics to be able to identify who the person is to make sure that they're eligible to vote. And if for some reason they do not, they can do a provisional ballot. So please let people know, just in case that they are having identification issues, that they still can be able to vote, and just to show them that we'll give them a provisional and figure out the rest. So take 2 minutes, talk about who you're going to vote for, when you're going to vote, and